tracking or not tracking? That's the question. And if you are a beginner to weight loss, I'm not going to hide it. I'm just going to say it right there in the beginning. It's better for you to track your calories because it's going to be more exact for you than if you are not tracking. So that's basically the main advantage of tracking your calories. If you want to achieve weight loss, tracking is much better for you because it's going to give you more exact information about how much calories you consume. And I understand that some people are saying that tracking is so difficult, it takes so much time, or some even says it's bad for their mental health. But if that would be the case, that is really bad for your mental health, then of course don't do it because it does not worth it to overstress yourself and just drag that if it drags you down and it really makes you feel bad and just stressing all the time about what you eat and how much and why and it does not worth it, then you can just opt for the not tracking option. And I'm also going to get into details for both, which are the benefits and and if you are not tracking, how you can still achieve weight loss. To be honest, I am not tracking, but when I was a beginner, I was not aiming for weight loss. I was tracking to gain knowledge about how much protein, carbs, the foods contain that I'm eating on a daily basis. So like how much protein is in an egg, just for me to know how much protein is in the steak I'm eating, the 200 to 50 gram steak, in potatoes, sweet potatoes. What are the other vitamins, minerals that they contain? So like to have an overall information for myself to understand what I'm eating, how much calories these foods contain. And this also valid not just for the whole foods like potatoes, vegetables, fruits, fish, rice, but for packaged foods as well. It's always good for you to understand what kind of food you are eating. When you check the food label, you read the food label, you look at it. Oh, this one has 20 gram of protein in 100 gram of food, or in a portion, which is maybe 30 gram, usually one portion of anything that is packaged is around the 30 gram, or per portion they have, 7 gram protein, So, when you eat one portion, you have 7 gram protein, or when you eat one portion, you have 10 gram carbs and 15 gram sugar, like these kind of things is good to understand. And it also gives you the calories, if you eat 100 gram of these, you're eating 1,000 calories. You can't even be that crazy. So, but if you eat only 30 gram, like a portion, maybe you have only 300 calories. Or your chocolate bars or anything that you eat. Look at the food label and see what you are eating. And if you decide by tracking, then you can actually also just scan these barcodes easily into the app. And it will appear there for you and you can choose you ate 1, 2, how many. There are 2 pathways to achieve weight loss, tracking your calories or macros and not tracking your calories and macros. In both ways, you can achieve success. I know that some coaches probably going to hate me because I see a lot of coaches are more pro-tracking. I am not so pro-tracking. I can lose weight even not tracking. I know I understand so much about nutrition, about my macros, and I have so much structure and I obtained so much knowledge in the past years that I exactly know what I eat to maintain my weight on a daily basis, what practices I need to do in order to maintain that without even a stress. So just very simply, and I know if I add more of this or reduce more of that, I can achieve weight loss. It's just a matter of fact if I want to do it or not. So the first option is tracking, of course. Then in this case, you will have to track each and every food that you eat during the day, even a small snacks, even a 1 tablespoon or 1 bite. Everything needs to be tracked to be accurate. With the other option, the not tracking option, you will require more structure on a day-to-day basis to achieve that weight loss. So you cannot just everything, but there are certain rules that you need to follow in order to still fit into that weight loss scheme, that's weight loss schedule. Of course, I think by now you already know that protein and carbs are 4 calories per gram and the fats are 9 calories per gram. Usually we eat more of a volume of carbs and protein and less volume of the fats. And we also don't need so much of volume of fats as we need from protein and carbs. So if you want to start tracking what to pay attention to when you track your calories, portion sizes, that's one of the biggest source of tracking error. Weigh and measure until you can eyeball accurately. So even if you track, you definitely have to weigh your food. Either you use a scale or you use cups, measurements, but you be exact about how much rice you put in on the plate, 1 cup, 2 cup, half cup, or 100 gram, 50 gram, 80 gram. You have to be exact with the measurements for each food that you are eating, because you have to put a measurement into the tracking app in order to know how much calories you've eaten. Make sure, of course, that you eat enough protein. It keeps you full, preserve muscles, and is the most important macro to hit daily. So I'm also mostly more aware or more like tracking how much protein I'm eating, not like tracking, but I'm kind of aware, and I kind of, since I know how much protein the foods I eat contain, I just calculate it in my head, and I know for lunch I ate, for example, 37 gram protein now, and for breakfast it was 25. So then now we just have to see what for dinner, or if I have a snack in between to hit the 120 goal of mine, for example. So you have to be eating high protein, at least like 1.5 to 2 times a kilogram. And make sure that you also track the calories per ingredient. Oils, nuts, and rancid are calorie dense and easy to underestimate. You have to be consistent, because daily imperfect tracking beats perfect tracking done occasionally. So the important part is that you stay consistent with the tracking, even if you are imperfect, because it can still bring you results. It can bring you more results than if you would not track on a consistent basis. So if you would just track once in a while, yesterday, then twice a week, track every day, even if it is not perfect or like you miss a couple of grams, just do it consistently. So like every day. As we discussed already, to lose fat, you need to aim for at least around a 300 to 500 calorie deficit in a day to achieve that consistent fat loss that we want, that we discussed in the previous video. So with the apps, there are lots of apps on the market. You can choose what's best for you. I don't know if you have already experimented a little bit. I think MyFitnessPal is the most common. And as I checked, they say that's kind of the best as well, and has the most sources available in them. I also downloaded this one, or the chronometer. I used this previously as well to test it. You can scan barcodes. That's very useful if you track. There are a couple of tips you can follow to make it easier for yourself. You can scan barcodes. For example, you made an oat porridge in the morning. Then you just scan the barcode of the oat box, and then you put that maybe you took 1 cup or half cup of the oats. And then you scan the barcode of your milk, you add it to it, and you add that it was 200 or 100 milliliter, or how much it was really. Then you add the rest of it if you add any topics. And it's also very useful if you create recipes like this, like something that you cooked, or like you made this porridge and you know you're eating it several times in a week, or over time it will come back again. Save these meals. Is option to save the meals. And then next time, if you know you ate the same thing exactly, you just use one of your meals and add it to your daily calorie intake plan. So you can also build your own recipes. You can search ingredients and have smart suggestions in the app. So essential skills that you need to maintain during tracking: estimating your portions, using visual cues, fist, palm, thumb, weighing cooked portions, recognizing calorie-dense foods by size and density. So it's good that if you know which foods are more calorie-dense, which foods are more nutrient-dense, because it's not always the same. So there are foods like whole foods, vegetables, fruits, grains, and there are meat, fish, they are more nutrient-dense, so lots of nutrients in them, vitamins, minerals, carbs, protein, everything. And they might be lower in calories, like cucumbers, like all vegetables, and fruits are much lower in calories than any kind of packaged food like chips, cookies that you would buy in the supermarket. So you have to understand which one to choose. You want to choose the foods that are high in calories, or you want to choose the foods that are low in calories but have high nutrient value. It's also very good to learn how to read food labels, because they give you serving size, they give you also the amount of calories the specific food has, the amount of nutrients, how much carbs it has, how much calorie the carbs is, how much calories the protein, how much calorie the portion has. What you eat, if the portion that you eat is maybe one portion, then it says one portion is 200 calories, for example, then you can add it to the app. You just scan with the app, you eat one portion of this specific food on the label. And of course, it's also very important that you know your TDEE, your calorie target. What is your target that you want to eat in a day? That's the number one. We have calculated it in the previous videos. You know your TDEE, you know how much you're going to take off from the TDEE. What is your daily target that you want to hit of the calories? And if you use one of these tracking apps, it is going to exactly tell you where you at after each and every meal. So maybe you added your breakfast for the porridge around 350 calories, your daily goal is 1,800, then you already took 350. Next time you're going to have lunch maybe, or you have an apple, then you add the apple as well. Then lunchtime, you're adding your lunch as well, and then you will be maybe at 1,000 calories now, 1,100. You will still have 700 calories go till the end. So it's very important to add these, but in the beginning, when you sign up for the specific app, it will also ask you to add your details, and it will exactly tell you what will be your goal, calories per day, and how much carbs, how much protein, and how much fat you should be eating. Because we not just have the TDEE, but within the TDEE, these apps also calculate for us, okay, within this TDEE, you should eat 130 gram protein. That is 4 times 520 calories you should get from protein, for example, from the 2,000 calories. And 800 is 1,300 calories. The rest of it should be maybe 60 gram of fat or something during the 6 times 9 is 540. Then is again around the 500. So 1,003 plus 500 is 1,800 calories will coming out in the end, because fats are higher in calories than carbs and protein. There are also some other tips you can do with the tracking, like track faster. You can track before eating to avoid surprises. So if you track in advance and you eat exactly the same what you have already put in your app, then maybe you avoid overeating or adding something else to your plate. Save your meals, use recipe builder. So enter once, create the recipe once, and reuse it. Because research also shows and statistics shows that we kind of repeat our meals over time a lot. Like how many times you have made a pasta bolognese, for example. You over and over create this recipe again and cook this meal again for your family. There are recipes that we cook over and over again for our families. Just save these recipes per portion, your portion size, what you're eating, weigh it on a scale, or with the cups and stuff, like 2 cups of spaghetti, 2 cups of bolognese sauce, and then look for it in the app and save the recipe. So next time when you eat spaghetti bolognese, you can just take the same exact portion and then copy paste to your new day. That's it. It's much simpler. Or if you eat regularly 3 eggs or 2 eggs for breakfast with 1 slice of toast and maybe 1 apple, super simple to track. So the simpler your meal is, the easier to track as well. If you don't want to track your calories, it will require you more structure. It is completely possible to achieve weight loss still, but you will need much more structure to it. And I will show you exactly, share with you the tips and the structure I'm using, because I'm not tracking my calories, but I'm maintaining my weight. And if I want to lose a little bit, what I do to achieve that. So if you don't want to track, you have to be certain for every meal how much of the foods that you are eating. And this measurement structure, plate structure, is a perfect way to understand how much you have to eat for each meal. And you better follow this each and every time for each meal. So either we use our hands for portion, or we are using a plate. The plate is usually the regular size of dinner plate, not the breakfast plate, because that's, I think, smaller, at least the one I'm buying. The dinner plate is that usual size, 27 centimeter cross or 30, something like that. So the big size of dinner plate, and the portions that you have to consider is palm of the hand is for protein portion. Then your vegetables should be a fist size. So this big, when you put on your plate, this big should be the carrots and peas or paprika, tomatoes, salad. This amount should be if you're using your hands as size. Your carbs should be 1 cup of a hand, and fats should be equal to 1 thumb. Now, if we translate it into the plates, half of your plate should be vegetables or fruits. Just vegetables or fruits, half of your plate. 1/4 of your plate should be the protein. So, like the palm size exactly fits the 1/4 of your plate. Fish or the meat, chicken, whatever your protein is. And the last ones should be the starchy carbs, either the rice, pasta, and potatoes. Sweet or normal, doesn't matter. So these are my main starchy carbs and carbs I'm eating during the week with my children. Either we have pasta, rice, or potatoes as a side dish with our meat or fish or chicken. And then every day I'm choosing some kind of vegetables, usually every day different. And sometimes it's a combination of 2-3 different vegetables or salad, depends. And so you have to use this eating structure each and every day. Now, there are some other habits that you can also maintain, like try to eat slowly, because within 15 to 20 minutes, we are always getting full if we are chewing slowly. And within 15 to 20 minutes, we achieve that kind of a fullness. And other meal structure that you can also have to have like 3 solid main courses during the day. That's what I'm doing as well. I always have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I make sure I have enough protein and fiber for all. Enough fiber means vegetables, fruits, or grains. For each of them, and enough protein. I'm aiming to have the protein 130 grams per day for me, which means if I'm eating 3 times, that should be roughly around the 40 gram protein for each meal. But sometimes I'm eating 4 meals and I have a snacks between lunch and dinner. Also very important, the timing of your meal. So try to make sure that each and every day you are eating the same time. Not all over the place, but your body is also getting used to eat the portions that you are eating and the timing that you have. And over time, your body will learn not to get hungry instantly, because it knows that in about an hour, that will be food. So you will not have that terrible cravings or terrible hunger in between. If you do this consistently for a certain amount of time, for a couple of weeks or months, your body will get used to it. Your body will get used to your structure, will get used to your portion sizes and also your timing. So these two have to sync. You need to have enough of the nutrients, the carbs, the protein, the fats, but especially protein and carbs, fiber for each meal, and time them accurately between like 3-4 hours between each and every day, and to have them around the same time. Like for example, 9 o'clock breakfast, 12 o'clock lunch, 6 o'clock dinner. That's what I'm doing every day. I'm not eating breakfast later than 9 o'clock, almost never. Sometimes it's 8:30, but by 9, I'm done with that. After I'm starting my work, so won't really have time to eat later on. 12 o'clock, 12:30, I'm taking my lunch break. Every day. I'm never getting hungry between breakfast and lunch. It's about 3 hours between them. Sometimes I get hungry between lunch and dinner, because sometimes it's 6 hours between them. So then around the 3 o'clock, maybe I have some yogurt with apple or some other fruits. So very important what you learn. Make sure the portion, if you don't want to track, the portion has to be precision, and your timing of the meals has to be the same every day. And you have to make sure you eat protein, carbs, and vegetables, fruits for every meal. The more colorful, the better. So at least to have 3 colors on your plate every time. And to spread the meals, the meal structure should be the same every day, consistently. So you should have around the same portions, same type of density meals for each and every meal, meaning that all the same portion of fat. So the density of the food should also be consistent throughout the day, each and every day. So you should have around the same carbs, the same fats, the same protein, each and every meal, the same amount. So your body can actually get used to it, what you're eating, your portions you're eating, the amount of food, carbs you're eating. Because once you get used to it, it will be easier for it to estimate and know for your body what it needs to do. Of course, if you want to achieve weight loss, we don't just have to achieve it through our food, but also with movement. So the two has to come together in order to achieve weight loss. So aim for at least the 8 to 10K steps daily, I would say, not a few times a week, but aim for it daily, because this kind of neat non-exercise activity level is also raising your TDEE. The non-exercise activity level, as we discussed in the beginning, the more you are on your feet during the day, the more you are moving during the day, the more calories you are going to burn. And as simple as that, this is a big opportunity, the neat non-exercise activity during the day, because that's where the most opportunity lies. If you don't want to track your calories, you have to make sure that you will be as active as you can be, at least the 8 to 10K steps. And I know people hate to hear, you just have to do steps. Everybody talking about steps. Why we have to do? Because it raises your neat activity level. And I understand you don't want to hear it, and maybe some coaches don't emphasize it the right way, but it's not just the walking that you actually do outside. Is if I get up now and walk around the room here and then go to the kitchen and come back, that will count maybe 100 steps for me. So that counts towards your 8K steps goal in a day. Not just if I go outside, I do half an hour walk now, that's going to be an additional 3,500 steps for me. And that's a great activity. So the steps activity, it shows your activity level. If your steps are 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 steps in a day, you are heavily sedentary. That means you're basically sitting all day long, not active at all. You're not active. The steps are not just showing if you're done walking or something like that. Steps are showing how much you're getting up your ass during the day. And if the steps are really low, that means you're very inactive. And you have to change that, because inactivity will not bring you the weight loss you want. You need to change that, and you need to get more of the active side. Now, if it is difficult for you to get straight cold turkey from 3,000 to 10,000 steps, then try to achieve a goal by raising it consistently and gradually. So maybe if your steps were usually 3,000, then aim for a 5,000-6,000 first. So maybe add an additional 30-minute walking outside. For this, you can also my 30-day walking challenge, 30-minute walks per day for 30 days long. So maybe you can acquire a new habit. Another thing is you don't have to do everything the same time. This I also say all the time, because when you want to implement everything the same time, might be too overwhelming for you. So you just do it step by step. Now, good, we have calculated your TDEE. You know how much is your total daily expenditure. Now sit with it maybe for a week, and next week then go starting your deficit, for example. So you don't have to do it all at once, and then look into the ways you can achieve actually this deficit. Maybe for 1 or 2 weeks try to track, and if you have learned a lot about the calories, about the foods you eat, maybe after a while you can leave the tracking. So I'm not saying also tracking is forever, but it's a great tool for you to understand what you're doing, because many people don't understand what they're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're never going to lose weight. You have to understand what you're doing. That's why I'm talking about in this course about the TDEE a lot, because that's the base of the whole thing. You have to understand your own TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, how active you are, what you're doing during the day, what foods you're eating, how much the chips that you eat all the time or your chocolate bar, how many calories do they have? Because if you eat that every day, plus you're eating great meals also a couple of times, you need to understand that the salad and the pasta you're eating doesn't have any protein almost. So you're not hitting protein goals, and maybe that's why you are also stuck with your weight loss. So basically, if you are a beginner, I will recommend you to start with the tracking, because as I said, you need to understand what you're doing, what you're eating. And if you haven't reached success before, then you know exactly why, because you were not aware of the things that you are doing or the things that you are eating and how much is the much, yeah? And I would recommend to start with the tracking, yeah? And once you gain knowledge, it can be different for anyone, then maybe you can stop the tracking, but it's very good. It's a great knowledge that you can gain from this. And don't think of this now that I'm going to be stressed, I better not even do it, it's so stressful and stuff. This is not how you have to think of it. You have to think of it as a great opportunity to learn something new. When I started to track my calories in the old time, I was so curious what I'm eating, how much certain activities, how much calories they burn, how much each of the food. I was all the time reading the food labels to learn. So it was all in my mind just to learn. Oh, that's really interesting. Oh, these foods have so much calories. Oh, if I eat like 5 apples in a day is much lower than having, I don't know, a bag of chips. Oh, actually, I have sweet cravings, and I can put together a delicious snack that is sweet instead of having 2 chocolate bars this afternoon that totals to 700 calories, for example. Because a yogurt and an apple with a little bit syrup, it will be only around the 300 calories maybe, not 600 or 700. So like, this is just an interesting thing, and I find it really interesting, and I learned a lot from these. That's why I am where I am right now, that I don't need to track if I want to achieve something, because I follow all these rules that I mentioned to you in the not tracking, and this is how I'm achieving my success. So I hope you took your notes during this video. I understand this has been a lot of volume of information. I will also paste the presentation slides in a PDF. So check this out and see you in the next video. Of course, if you need a more tailored help or someone who is guiding you through the whole process, you can also sign up to the VIP plan. Currently, you receive 2 coaching sessions per month from me. So direct one-to-one, 60 minutes, 1 hour coaching sessions. And then I can put this plan together with you and we can discuss what you should be doing that fits your life, your lifestyle to achieve the success or the weight loss or the whatever you want to achieve actually, because we can discuss together and make a plan for you. So if that's something that you would like to achieve, then you can sign up to the VIP plan. Otherwise, I see you in my next video. Cheers.